Good morning. This is Oscar with Eco Air Heating and Cooling, a company based out of Southern California, specifically Riverside, but we service most of Southern California. So, diving right into it, how much does an air conditioning repair cost? Which is a very common question, a very broad answer. So it all depends on what the severity of the issue is. It can be something small. It can be something as small as like a maybe a capacitor, or it can be or something as big as changing out a compressor. So those things vary. It varies on the size of the unit. It varies on how hard it is to get to that part, and so on and so forth. So I'm just gonna kind of read off what like Google is kind of what you guys are pretty much seeing on the internet when you guys ask it, how much does a air conditioning repair typically cost? And it hits it pretty much right on the money. I mean, some companies may charge more or may less. I mean, the bigger the company, the more it's going to cost, right? And if you go with like a mom and pop shop, which is, in my opinion, always recommended, the service is just as good, if not even better. But yeah, it ranges anywhere between 150 bucks to three, four, $5,000. It's sometimes it's not even worth to get the repair going, just because it's you're spending a few $1,000 bucks, so it may be a better option to just replace that whole part itself, especially if your system is you know 10 plus years old or 15, especially with like the new efficiencies and stuff that are coming out. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, we're talking about like the basic replacement stuff, which is like either your capacitor, your thermostat, your refrigerant charge, your fan motor stuff, compressor repair. That's the one that's like, could vary, super expensive in the thousands of dollars, which we typically tell our clients like, hey, it's going to cost you about 2,500 bucks. And then there's going to be a wait time. There's going to be obviously a higher charge with something like that because it requires very specific tools. You need to know what you're doing with that one because it's a very delicate, big part that if you don't know, it can identity it could probably totally destroy the system if it's not installed correctly. So yeah, we're talking about anywhere between $800 to $3,000 on just a compressor. 800 is, I don't know where Google came up with that, but it's probably closer to 25, way over 2,500 bucks or above on something like that. So that's like your higher repair stuff, which is, I mean, it's kind of on the money. It's pretty accurate right here. But yeah, there's a lot of considerations too, right? Like I said, it's like the age, how old that part is, how hard it is to get, the wait times and stuff and all that. So sometimes it is better to just go ahead and like replace the system. And, that way it's the only way that you're going to guarantee that the system's going to be running for the longevity, the lifespan of that system, which is, you know, 15. So I've seen systems go down as little as 5 years to last as long as 25 years. So it can definitely, it all depends on the maintenance on it after all. But yeah, that pretty much covers most of what, basic repair costs. A big common issue in the summer is the capacitors, right? The capacitors, those little battery looking things that, go out very often, just because the system's really ramping out. And yeah, and those blow out, a little common, but those can vary again, anywhere between 250, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. But I've seen them range from, other competitive markets as, up to $600 just to replace that thing. But, people add the goodies like hard start kits and all that stuff just to protect that compressor from ever, going out, or protecting that capacitor as well. But yeah, that's so best case scenario, you're going to be spending about 450 bucks, 450 bucks on a repair, basic repair, and something in the middle, maybe 1,000 to 1,500, something in the middle. And then on the higher end, we're talking, three to maybe $5,000, just depending on what or how hard it is to get to that part or what part that is, which is it's most likely it's either going to be the compressor, or if you have to change out like the whole actual coil around that system too. It can definitely range up there. And also the amount of warranty that you want for it too. If you're providing different warranties on that system, it can a basic capacitor can, yes, it could cost you $300 to $400 if you have a company come out, but if that company's offering maybe more warranties on top of that, like a higher package, then it's going to cost you more. So that's another thing to consider when looking at pricing for repairs on your air conditioning system. So yeah, the amount of warranties can definitely range from different price ranges. So, but other than that, thank you guys for popping by. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.